So now we have enemies that can kill us, but we can't kill them. So we have to do a couple of things to make this a fair transaction. So for starters, we're going to go about this with bullets. So a bullet is a type of behavior that we can assign to sprites. First thing we need is a sprite. So I'm going to make a sprite somewhere in the outside of the playing field. Create a really simple one. Great. Now I'm going to go to the behaviors. I'm going to add bullet. Cool. Now we've added bullet. We have speed, acceleration, gravity, yada, 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 bounce off objects. Great. So now we need to make it so when I press a button, the bullet comes from me. So I go to my event sheet. Well, first, I'm actually going to add an input. So there's an input called keyboard. You're gonna activate the keyboard input. Now what I'm going to do, in my event sheet, I add an event, and I say keyboard, key pressed. And I'm going to choose E. So when the E is pressed, now the system is going to create an object. And we are going to create sprite 4 on the same layer. Now here's the important part. My X position is going to be the name of my character, sprite.x. The Y position, sprite.y. It is using the X and Y coordinate of my character to create a bullet. Now I'm also going to add 80. So plus 80, sprite.x plus 80. Done. So now when I run this and I press the button E, it's going to shoot bullets. Big whoop. How do we get that to interact with an enemy? So there's two ways you can do it. You can create enemy health the same way that we created player health, or it could just be a contact. So my event could be when sprite 4 or sprite 3, the enemy, on collision with sprite 4, done, it would destroy destroy sprite 4. We're going to run into an issue, and you'll see that in just a second. But what I'm going to do is to make this very easy to see, I'm going to set up 2 enemies. So I run my game. Here we go. He's coming. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I press E, and nothing happens. That's unfortunate. So let's see. When sprite 3 collides with sprite 4. Oh, it destroys the sprite, but we also need to destroy the enemy. So we go back to the enemy, we say, let's see, no, system, enemy, destroy, and now you're going to see the issue that I was talking about. I press E. Oh, actually, works fine. Sometimes what happens is if you tell it to destroy the enemy, it'll destroy all of the enemies. So luckily that doesn't work here. So now I'm able to shoot them. If I wanted to set up the instance variables, that's where we'd have some issues. Because what we could do is add an instance variable. We call it enemy health. Number, initial value, maybe you make it 10. Okay. Same thing as before. Can't use the periods or whatever, spaces. So now I'm going to say when the sprite collides with when the enemy collides with the bullet, we destroy sprite 4, and now we're going to go to sprite 3. We're going to go to the instant variable set, and we say subtract from enemy health, value 1. Done. So this is saying every time that it collides with the bullet's going to die, and then it's going to subtract 1 from the enemy's health. Now we have to add an event. We're going to go back to our enemy, say compare instance variable. If the enemy health is equal to or less than 1, done. Then we are going to destroy the object. The issue is when you have instance variables doing this, you need to have different... I swear this shouldn't have worked, but oh, let's see. This is working now. Okay, cool. We got health. We got enemies that we can kill. Didn't expect that. Now, something you can also do. Health bars. Maybe I'll get into health bars later. I'm going to play around with getting it to aim at my mouse. You can stop the game here, or the video here, if you have no interest in that, but I'm going to play around with this feature. So what you need to do is add the input mouse. You insert that. Now in your event sheet, you can add an event. So you tell system every tick. Okay. You get your bullet, and we can set the angle of motion. Nope, we're going to set angle toward position. And we are going to do mouse.x and mouse.y. So now, press done. Let's see how this works. Uh-oh. That's not good. Well, okay. So what happens is every tick, every infinitesimal moment of time that it can actually measure time, it is going to set the angle of our sprite towards the mouse. Issue is, this happens after we have already shot the bullet. So as after I shoot the bullet, it's going to continue to go. So we have like homing bullets or whatever. Just mega kill. So now we have to say set angle toward mouse X, Y. So instead of every tick, I'm going to do it here. So when the E key is pressed, it's going to set the angle towards X and Y, and it's going to create the object. This should eliminate my issue, I'm hoping. Well, that's ugly. So let's switch the line up here. So just by switching the order that these came in. So I said it set angle towards this after it creates the object. It creates these things so quickly that if you set up, it's going to start at the top and then move down and then move down and move down. So it thinks about this stuff so quickly that you don't even register a difference when these things are done, but the computer does. So now we've set up bullets that we can aim, although it's a bit difficult to control a mouse and keyboard, but get creative with it. You can have an aiming system where you're able to aim with ASDF and then press spacebar to shoot. And this would be a way that you could control the angle of your bullets, and you could also have health that kills things. Lastly, if you want to make this really obvious to the player, because it doesn't make sense that things die without any indication, I'm going to refer to my animation video, and to do that you would start with, you'd create a new animation. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll call this a video. So I'm going to say hit. Now the hit is going to be exactly the same as the default. So we're actually going to duplicate. We're going to delete hit. Yeah. And then we're going to call this hit. Rename hit. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste or duplicate this. So here's what I'm going to do. Loop, I set hit to no. Speed, we can set it to 1 per second. Now, I'm going to change the coloring so we know he's been hit. So go here, I'm going to make his body red. I'm going to do a blue. And then it goes back. So what we can do here now, we X out of there. So now when the enemy collides with the bullet, sprite 4, destroy, we're going to add an action. Sprite 3, set animation, and we have to do it in quotes. Hit. Play it from the beginning. And I'm going to do this once it's done. I'm going to set it to default. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but we're going to try this out. Press play. Okay, so now, I shoot. Yeah, that goes too quickly. So I'm going to eliminate. Now I'm going to add system, wait. And I'm going to tell it to wait 0.25 seconds. Done. .25 seconds. Done. And now I'm going to press play. No, I'm not. I'm going back to my event sheet and I say hit, set it to hit and then go back. So now I shoot and now my enemies show that they're being hit. And that's actually pretty fun. You can do the same thing with your own character, set up a hit sequence, but you have to tell the coding that as the person's hit, it needs to change the animation so that the player knows that something's happening. That's it. We've talked about how to set up bullets, how to set up health for an enemy, how to kill enemies, and even as a bonus, how to register hits as animations.